I'm not going to say a single word about the Tennessee Titans record against the Indianapolis Colts because I was a punter, and there's no reason for me to talk about that. With that being said, we did not punt much against the Tennessee Titans, so you probably have no clue who I am to begin.
Look, I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, call it audible. Serving up them Hail Marys till the game over with the showstopper. So hot, you gotta blow on it. I said I'll huff and I'll puff, then I'll pass to my left while I'm looking to my right. Hit him right in the chest. It be looking like magic, better give me the throne. I ain't talking about Patrick, but I rep my home. I'm never at the end of my zone. I'm bad to the bone, eating up these pig skins like they chicharrones. And you a douche cabron. Mira, mira at the mirror on the wall. I'm the greatest of them all. They gon' put me in the hall. Your name is only written in a bathroom stall. Quit your stalling and make a play. My drive too long, pop the clutch, I don't pump the brakes. I know what it takes to gain the muscle, get rugged. These butterfingers be fumbling, squash the scrimmage and rub it in Robitussin. How I give them concussion, they seeing double, they rushing and pass the shovel, the dirt and rubble, I bury them under it. Stay in your huddle and get 10 yards back, never turn your back. I'ma pull your flag, I go full contact, out punch, out kick like a shotgun.
Welcome back, people. Welcome back to the HorseShoe Mob podcast. We're coming to you with everything Colts, and we got some things to discuss today. We got some things to discuss, but before we do, let's just make sure that we're going to www.fanbattlesports.com. Go for all your Colts related items. Yeah, it's AFC South stuff. Big whoop, want to fight about it, whatever. But you want to go see Colts stuff. So make sure that you go there for past episodes, bios, articles, everything. You'll be able to see us on there. And yeah, so just make sure that you're going to www.fanbattlesports.com for all your HorseShoe Mob needs. And yeah, so then before we get into that, let's just go ahead. Let me just go ahead and holler at the guys real quick. So just getting started, quick roll call. We have Josh Sr.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Okay, Taco Tuesday it is. Like, all right, and then we have Austin Cook.
What's up? I'm Austin.
Then we have Harish Nukala.
Anybody have safety?
All right, and I'm Chris Jackson. So we're gonna. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing this evening?
No, we're not doing that. We need to talk about this. Your rant you had on Twitter about Ronnie Harrison. Go ahead. You start.
Did Ronnie Harrison rant on Twitter? Nice, man.
You start first, Chris.
No. We're not just gonna skip over my question. You answer my question, and then I go into that because we're not just gonna skip over this. Like I'm not exchanging pleasantries. Okay, listen. How's everybody doing today? Matter of fact, since Josh don't want to answer, don't answer. Austin, how are you feeling today, buddy?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Harish, how about yourself?
Oh, is that my cue to answer? Oh, my man. No, man. I'm doing great. Doing awesome.
I see. I'm going to be muting people the rest of this evening. Josh, how you feeling? Yes or no?
I'm tired, man.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. Okay, so with that being said, yes, we'll get into it. All right. So Ronnie Harrison, one of the in the first wave of cuts, it was very foolish to me, at least, because of the fact that you had him at linebacker last year. I'm gonna say he played pretty decent. He played pretty decent. I think he played well enough to go ahead and give him another shot out there at linebacker playing outside. Okay, cool. But then you move him back to safety because you have a need at safety. And okay, that's fine. His natural position is safety because that's what he was drafted as. That's what he's played primarily the majority of his career. But then you cut him at safety. And so the issue that I'm then having is that you now have one less safety. And mind you, we now have a certain amount of safeties on there. And we'll go into that because we're going to talk about the 53-man roster today. So you have now you have one less safety, but now you also have one less linebacker because he played both positions. Which, I mean, I don't get it. Like, I'm not understanding. Because if we're gonna be completely honest, and we can look at the depth chart and we can look at exactly the roster looks like right now, and if we're looking at the depth chart right now, we're looking at the 53-man. Matter of fact, not even the depth chart. We're looking at the 53-man roster right now. We're only carrying 4 safeties. So of the 4 safeties that we have right now, you have Julian Blackman, Nick Cross, Trevor Dembo, and Rodney Thomas.
That's pretty thin.
And so the thing is, it's no knock on Julian, because I love Julian. He can play lights out, but the thing is, he has had a history with injuries. So that means that group, then, if anybody gets hurt, you're down to 3. And so, even if that is the case, you have somebody who you can kind of plug and play, on the defense, either between the second and third level, or you can maybe disguise some things depending on what it is. But also, you look at the linebacking core. Linebacking core is Jalen Carleys, Zaire Franklin, Segan Alubi, EJ Speed, and Grant Stewart. So you no longer really have the depth that you need, because I mean, at any given time, you're going to be playing at least 3 linebackers on the field. And for me, it's just like you put a lot more pressure on guys like Carleys. You put a lot more pressure on somebody like Grant Stewart, who's played, but hasn't necessarily played that much to necessarily warrant not having somebody else there. But I mean, I'm not gonna get into initial frustrations yet. But like I said, it wasn't a rant. It wasn't a rant. A rant is just like me just having a whole thread about
It was
like
a
just
soft
crapping
rant,
on
sir.
everything.
It was a soft rant, sir.
So that's not even a rant.
So what you're saying is we don't,
But we like the group we have.
so we don't like the group we have.
I'm gonna delete that off of here, because at this point I hate it. Freaking hate it.
So we don't like the group we have.
So no. So the thing is, I like the guys we have, but the problem is that you didn't do more to make sure that you went and put some other people in position to make sure that you don't have these issues.
What were you expecting? In order to do that, you would have to have a GM that knows how to build a team. We have a glorified scout at the GM position.
It's really at this point just very, 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 very just frustrating.
Yes,
because if you look at this roster up and down,
Jesus Christ,
it's
oh
if you're looking at just draftees or just like undrafted free agents, guys that might have been picked up, that's the majority of the roster. I think the only guys who really were signed out of free agency are like Joe Flacco, Raekwon Davis, Samson Ebukam, and he's out for the year. And outside of that,
Matt Gay.
There's Matt Gay. 3.
They're not confident in this kicker anymore.
That's very, like, it's a very tough pill to swallow. But you know what? Like I said, we're gonna get into that this evening. We're gonna get into other things like Jelani Woods the other day. He had turf toe, but it's turning out that he got surgery on it. Surgery was successful, and he's gonna be sidelined for 4 months. So that effectively puts him on IR. How are we feeling about that, being that this is now another year that he's not going to be in the lineup?
Man, this has now been he hasn't played a snap of football in 2 years now. So by the time he comes back next year, it'll have been 3 years since he's played a snap of football.
Well,
meaningful football. 3. Listen, I think the guy is cool, insanely athletic, right? Insanely talented. His raw score is probably like 6 million, right? But dude just doesn't play, man. And we're wasting roster spots putting him. And I get, like, he's on IR, like he doesn't have like this big like cap hit. Like I get it, but it's like we're now down to 4 tight ends. We're really down to 3 tight ends because Mo Alley Cox doesn't do anything. And then doesn't like Ogletree have this like pending criminal investigation or something?
No, he was cleared.
Does that drop? Oh, okay, good. Whew.
No, he was completely cleared. Charges dropped, so he's 100% ready to go.
So Mo Alley Cox is unreliable. Jelani Woods is unreliable. Now you're really down to 3 tight ends, right? You're down to Kylan Granson, who I think could be really good, but that's just my personal opinion. But I don't think we utilize him enough. We have Will Mallory, who was a rookie last year, and then Ogletree, who looked great in camp last year and then got hurt, and then that whole whatever his situation was the situation, right? So now the tight end spot becomes a concern for me. I actually probably a bigger concern than I originally thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And that was hoping that, Jelani Wood, he just like has these like mysterious injuries that end up being like very long term. Like turf toe, like I get turf toe can be bad, but it's like you're now talking about a hamstring and a turf toe in back-to-back seasons that have required season-ending surgery. Like that's not good. Like,
yeah, well, it wasn't turf toe. It wasn't turf toe last year. Last year was
it's a hamstring. It was hamstring last year.
Yep, yeah.
Turf toe this year. Like if you're getting injuries like that and it's keeping you out for 3 and 4 months and requires surgery like every time it occurs, like I'm no medical expert, right? It doesn't sound like it's like healthy in general. Like forget football. Like him as a human being, it does not sound healthy.
Yeah. I don't know. What Austin, Josh, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. It sucks because he had so much promise. Everybody wanted him to be great because he's so tall and he seemed very athletic. And then every year it seems to be something that, like Harish said, something that just drags on longer than I feel like normal.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it just sucks because like that is a position that we would hope that he would have stepped into and helped make better, and now he's not. He's gone again.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Josh?
I mean, we all speaking the same language. Having him on the field would have been major for a second-year quarterback that appears to throw to his quarterbacks. Tight ends. The previous one didn't. Having him as a major target in the red zone, 6'7", 230, 240. That's a major miss. I mean, we know what Mo Alley Cox is. He was at first he was a project that was switching from basketball to football. Now that shit is not working out. My hot take is I think TE1 should be Drew Ogletree because he's the only athletic guy that we got that can perform the duties that maybe Jelani could have done or filled in. Will Mallory is good too, but didn't we mention about having 2 tight end sets this year possibly?
Yeah.
We were hoping to.
So yeah, it definitely sucks that now we have to rely on Mo Alley Cox. But we did see some tight ends being cut this roster cuts. I don't know any is going to be any good, but I haven't checked anything yet. But we can't pick some up to fill that spot until he's healthy, at least for a year.
Well, yeah, and I mean Ballard's Christmas is coming up, so you know exactly what it's going to be.
This is real free agency for Chris Ballard.
Yeah, this is when Ballard starts rubbing his hands together like Birdman. He's just like, yeah.
He's going to sleep early tonight. He needs a good night rest.
Yes, yeah. Well, you know what? Here I'm going to say, and before we go any further, on a more positive note, also make sure that wherever you're watching from, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, make sure that you're liking, commenting, sharing. Subscribe to the YouTube, but we have to. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that in news of Jelani not being on the roster, there actually was some news that the Colts were potentially bringing in Dalvin Cook. So, former Vikings running back Dalvin Cook. Essentially, what they were doing is he scheduled a visit with the Cowboys, and so.
Yesterday?
Supposedly, I believe it was today.
Okay.
So they were scheduled to visit with the Cowboys, but what the report said, and this is all speculation, so I'll say allegedly. Allegedly, the Cowboys wanted to bring him on, but just wanted to bring him on in more of a practice squad scenario. And yeah, which is kind of weird because Dalvin Cook. But apparently the Colts are bringing him in, which honestly, I think now that I think about it some more, it's just like, okay, it could be a good thing because Dalvin Cook was somebody who had to kind of do the run. I'm going to say a little bit of catching out the backfield. So, I mean, him and Jonathan Taylor, I think you actually have a very, very, very good duo. And
Great
I mean,
duo.
yeah,
That's deadly.
yeah,
That's deadly.
yeah. So, I mean, we'll see.
It can be, yeah. The problem is Dalvin Cook's an Achilles guy. He's a guy coming off of Achilles injury who hadn't been the same since.
Yeah,
Like,
but also he's coming
now
off
it's
an Achilles injury as the head guy.
Yeah, that's true.
And so the thing is, so for me, you know, because I mean, if we really want to look at it, like JT even last year, I think he had like 741 in limited carries because he only played 10 games last season.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the best thing that you can do with a great running back is give him another running back who may not necessarily be in the same shape that he was before, but also it's just like you have a timeshare. And not only that, but the thing is, you have a timeshare out the backfield, and then on top of that, you have AR, and then on top of that, you have the wide receiver. So you're going to have to respect different parts of the offense to the point where your defense is going to have to just play as sound as possible. And if you don't, then you're going to get killed.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that would honestly be a good thing. It's
Is
just
he
a
coming
matter
for a
of
visit or is he like he's signed to the roster?
It said visit.
no, it was a visit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's no guarantee he signs.
correct. I mean, we know what backup running back does to us for us. I mean, look what Zach Moss did. Almost had 1,000.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No,
yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
And honestly, I don't think Zach Moss is going to do that this year in Cincinnati.
No,
I mean, because it's just like I think Zach Moss had that one off because he finally had the chance to do what he needed to do. But I mean, honestly, it's just like you get Dalvin Cook in there, JT and Dalvin Cook, change of pace, everything that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yes, so very good. Yeah, but
We'll see what happens.
all right, yes, we will see what happens with that. But moving on, of course, to the part that we all were looking forward to, the 53-man roster. And the part that I say that we were looking forward to is because of the fact that in true fashion, some people got cut that we just didn't like. But
yeah,
let's just go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to quickly run down the roster for you, or I'm going to say for who was retained. And then we will be going into reactions. So, of course, quarterback Anthony Richardson, Joe Flacco, Sam Ellinger. Running back Tyler Goodson, Trey Sermon, Jonathan Taylor. Wide receiver Josh Downs, Ashton Doolin, Anthony Gould, Adonai Mitchell, Alec Pierce, and Michael Pittman Jr. Tight ends are Mo Alley Cox, Colin Granson, Will Mallory, Drew Ogletree. Offensive line retained 10. Tanner Bartoloni, Blake Freeland, Will Fries, Matt Gonsalves, Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson, Danny Pinter, Bernard Ryman, Braden Smith, Dalton Tucker. Defensive line also retained 10. And this is between left and right end D tackle. So Edatamewa Adebaware, DeForest Buckner, Taven Bryan, Raekwon Davis, Isaiah Land, Leatu Latu, Taekwon Lewis, Deo Adenibo, Kwity Paye, and Grover Stewart. Linebackers, Jalen Carleys, Zaire Franklin, Segan Alubi, EJ Speed, Grant Stewart. Cornerbacks, Daryl Baker Jr., Juju Brents, Dallas Flowers, Jalen Jones, Kenny Moore. Safeties, Julian Blackman, Nick Cross, Trevor Dembo, Rodney Thomas II. And then for special teamers, Matt Gay, Luke Rhodes, Rigoberto Sanchez. And so, I mean, of course, we knew who was going to initially be on the roster, but who were some of the names that were just kind of like, oh, that's different?
I go first.
Go ahead.
First with the running, quarterback we good. I'm okay with those three guys being on the roster. Running back, Tyler Goodson. I thought maybe Evan Hall would be that guy. I think they traded up for him. Maybe I can't remember, but I thought he would be the guy, the third running back in that room. But with Cook, things could change. Goodson may not even make it. So receivers, I mean, still thin right there, but I'm okay with that. I mean, maybe I'm still with this Rodney Thomas Jr. I mean, he got to go. He got to go, man. What is he doing on the team? I don't get it. I don't get it.
I think at this point, the only thing that you can really say about him is that he has the starting experience. Because if we're looking at the way that the roster is made up right now, if there are guys in there that has any type of work that when it comes down to how this particular team is set up, I mean, we see that there's guys out there who we saw weren't necessarily performing the way that they were supposed to. But then we also know that, if they were starting at some point or another, then they're probably going to end up being kept on. Which is the only reason why the whole Rodney Thomas thing makes sense, which is the only reason why Daryl Baker makes sense.
Yeah, he got to go too.
So, I mean, that's...
Dog.
No.
Shut up, Austin. Shut up, Austin. Shut the listen, with all due respect, and I love you like a brother, but shut the hell up. We're not doing this. We're not. I'm not. I know you're good for one of those every episode, but damn it, Austin, today is not that day. Not today, sir.
You didn't let him finish his statement.
And I'm not going to. All right, but then moving on to you, Austin. What do you think is is one of the names where you're just like, oh, all right, well, looks like he's here to stay.
Yeah, I think personally, I would have kept Eric Johnson over Taven Bryant.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like he's done better overall from what I've seen.
Yeah. All right. And then Harish, what about you?
So Chris Ballard calls Shane into his office, right? He's like, "Hey man, we need some help in the secondary. Get Micah Abraham on the phone." And he's like, "All right, cool." He's like, "Hey Micah, Chris Ballard here for the Colts. How's it going? Your guy." And Shane's like, "What the hell? What are you doing?" That's how I feel. I just don't understand. Micah Abraham, I thought was probably one of the better guys that were corners that I thought played well in the preseason. A developmental prospect. You talk about a position in need. We're going. So I'm just lost. We're going in another regular season with a guy that can't tackle and a guy coming off an Achilles. I just don't understand, man. What are we doing? What is Chris Ballard doing, in my opinion? Nick Cross, I think will be okay. Trevor Denbo's a special teams guy. That's why he makes it. Rodney Thomas makes no sense to me. That's just secondary, man. It seemed like an overreaction 3 weeks ago, but it's I intentionally did not set myself up for failure because I knew it's almost like I knew something stupid was about to happen, and it's exactly that, right? We're still stuck with freaking Daryl Baker, who cost us 2 games for sure, maybe 3. And this guy's just sitting here eating Tips treats on the sidelines and fucking, I mean, golly, man. Jesus Christ. So that's how I feel about the 53-man roster.
Yeah, I think we know that there were going to be certain guys who are just going to be like, yeah, he's going to be there. It's it's not a problem. You had the gimmies, but the thing is, it's having guys like Taven Bryan, and to me, it's just like he's. I mean, we could just say it now. He was a bust. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a first round bust. He was not somebody who was there. It's just like, and we could talk about depth. I hate that freaking word because like Chris Ballard has ruined like the term depth when it comes down to a roster for me, because well, like we've had to trot out this whole, yes, let's go and do, we're gonna get depth and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, and then he's gonna go and try to say, oh yeah, well he's gonna go and he's gonna start. No, because the thing is, why are we trotting out depth guys as starters when we know for a fact that these guys are just meant to come in just as backups or something simple like that?
I can answer
Like,
that question.
I no, don't do it.
Not in a bad way. I
Oh,
think
okay.
Ballard does this on purpose. What I mean by on purpose is that he get those guys hoping they are the diamond in the rough, and he can say, "I'm a damn genius because I got a bomb that could have been, somewhere
He
else."
has an ego. Yeah.
Yeah, I got this guy here that was low level guy that nobody else had on their draft board. The guy that was on waiver, and I picked him up and I made him a star. I'm going to pay him $30 million for 4 years, and look at me. That's what he
They
do.
are guys. I told you it works.
That's what he do. I mean, look what I gave. I'm gonna start with this. Danico Audrey. Yeah, we thought let him go. It paved the way for Tyquan Lewis. That never did work. Danico go to Tennessee and wreak havoc, and can probably do the same thing after he get out for suspension in Houston because he's a good D tackle. We're letting guys go. I mean, okay, Bobby Okereke, or Kirk, whatever you want to call him. Same guy. Drafted him from, I forgot what school he went to. I'm shooting blanks right now. Good linebacker. Let him go, and you're using Segan. I mean, we just I don't know. I get frustrated too because we could retain these guys and be a wonderful team on defense and offense. But here we go again. Say, hey, well, we need pass rush, we need linebackers, we need corners, we need safeties, we need a tight end. We keep saying this over and over and over, but when we do have the opportunity to get a tight end that plays well, oh, he's not going to sign him because he's been hurt 2 years. And then when it's time to pay him, oh, well, we don't need you. And then they just recycle.
Recycle. Yep.
Yeah. And it's weird because like they put it out today. So our 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks were all cut.
Yes.
And so the thing is, and this is kind of reminiscent of like the 2022 draft, because I mean we drafted a safety and he was amongst one of the cuts. And so the thing is, it's just like we're frequently like not necessarily addressing secondary the way that you should. And then on top of that, the thing that becomes frustrating is the fact that not only is there a refusal, or I'm just like just a whole not going to do it when it comes to your approach to free agency. So you're going to build through the draft. But then you go and you cut 3 draft picks from this past draft when you frequently are trading down in order to get more draft picks. So the thing is, you're not necessarily retaining everybody that you think that you normally would because of the fact now you're putting yourself behind the gun. But the thing is, there's no pressure there. Like, there's no pressure there because you're just going to continue to do the exact same thing. Once again, didn't touch free agency. You go and get Joe Flacco, you get Raekwon Davis. 2 positions we didn't need. And so when you go get Joe Flacco, okay, backup, maybe mentorship role, cool. Raekwon Davis, he's already in a crowded room, or he's in a crowded room when it came to that D tackle room. But then on top of that, they literally got rid of Christian Wilkins, who was basically just a swingman on the defensive line because he was playing end as well as he was playing inside as well as outside. So they needed D tackle. And you didn't hold on to him after you lost Christian Wilkins, which means that they didn't really want him to begin with. And it's not necessarily knocking his talent or what he could potentially be in this system. But the thing is, you know that you had a need at cornerback because you have Dallas Flowers, who's recovering still from his Achilles. So you know that your secondary was probably the worst defensive unit that you had last year, or I'm gonna say cornerback was your worst defensive unit, and free safety because Julian Blackman played strong safety and he actually did really well. But now you do nothing to address the secondary at all, and so we're now looking at it, and we'll just go ahead and just get into this next part because there were some really surprising cuts. And I mean, I'll kick us off with this one. The biggest surprise for me was Micah Abraham. Like Micah Abraham, for all intents and purposes, had a solid preseason. So I don't get why there's a need to go ahead and cut him and keep somebody like Taven Bryan when you know for a fact that you need more people in the secondary than you do on the D-line. Like, I don't care if it's a traditional 4-3. Now you're going to have cornerbacks, and you don't even have somebody who's going to be developed by sitting behind somebody. Micah Abraham probably was the best person that you could have kept behind somebody like Kenny Moore, because Micah Abraham was somebody who you can absolutely go and put into a slot role, and then he might be able to go and just automatically contribute. But once again, it's just like where he was 5th, 6th, and 7th round, so he's cut.
We got a comment on Twitter.
Yeah.
So who are you guys' surprise cuts?
Surprise! Oh, Eric Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know if I'm. Yeah, I guess I am surprised by that. But then I'm still surprised by the other defensive tackle we cut.
Right. Jonah.
What was his name?
From Oklahoma.
Who?
Oh no, it was Eric Johnson. No. Yeah. I was.
Oh yeah, we got a comment. He said, "Cut Harrison, keep Marcel Dabo." My question mark.
Yeah, that's
our question mark too, Adam. Because
another guy with an Achilles injury. Like, what do we do? the Indianapolis Achilles.
Indianapolis Colts.
HLS.
What about you, Austin? What was one of your surprise cuts today? Because
Yeah, I mean, obviously, everybody that was mentioned, I was really hoping Abraham would get a spot on the roster, but I guess another guy we mentioned earlier, like Evan Hull, like we just got him last year, and now he got cut. I don't know. I felt like he wasn't bad when he played in the preseason, but I guess they thought the other guys were better.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm starting to, well, I'm out there, but just to feel how Harish is feeling about our GM that we call up there. I mean, I guess he's just a scouter because he don't know what the hell he's looking at on the field. I mean, Brandon Harrison was okay in the preseason. Yes, preseason, but he had a big tackle Thursday. Like we said with Abraham, his draft pick out of I forgot what school it was. It was Marshall.
Marshall, like a smaller school, right?
Yeah, small school. I don't remember.
it was Marshall.
He did well. I mean, I think he had a fumble return for a touchdown against Arizona. But it's just things like that. Like, I mean, you need that piece. I mean, like you said, could be developing behind a veteran guy. Here we go, cut him. Like, what are you? I will only see these things happening if he had something in the works. You know, if we had an Ernest Jones from a trade from the Rams, stuff like that. I will understand when you let guys go. You know, I understand if you letting go Evan Hall if you're going to potential sign Cook, stuff like that. But what are you doing tight end? What are you going to do with safety? You know, like you said, this is the time of year where he see a bunch of people cut, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is my free agency. Let me go sign this guy for a 1-year prove deal, and hope he shows out in our secondary, and nobody know who he is." Because he's not on our radar. He's not on nobody's radar. It's just a guy that's going to sit behind another guy that we probably won't cut. And then if that guy get hurt, this guy he's thrust into the starting lineup, and he was like, "Oh my God," you know, like for season, how he was like getting him. He's like, "How you see?" I don't give a damn how much Isaiah Rodgers was betting on the team. He's good enough to sit on the fucking field. Even after having a year suspension, he would be a guy that would play now. But you cut him after doing that. He paid his dues.
Yeah. I think Isaiah Rodgers is like the outlier, right? Like, listen, when you're betting on your own team, you can't save that, right? But no, I would agree. If it was just like, oh, he bet on like the Browns to win a game and he lost, like whatever, right? But but when you're betting on your own teammates, that's a little different, though. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like looking back at it, Isaiah Rodgers, like that dude, he kind of messed a lot of stuff up. But at the same token, it just goes back to, and I just said it to our group of guys. It's like he found a new Band-Aid, right? He ripped off the Band-Aid brand, and he's like, oh, cool. Here's a Walgreens brand Band-Aid, and that Walgreens brand Band-Aid is like really hoping with 10 defensive linemen, we're gonna just get enough pressure to where Daryl Baker doesn't have to, be out in coverage for more than 3 seconds.
Yeah, and so the thing is, shut your face, Austin. Shut your face. You and these little pot shots. I swear. But the thing is, so and that's something that I frequently just kind of talk about, because yes, having a good defensive front can ease the pressure on the secondary. But the problem is that it's not always going to happen that way. Right. So the thing is, if you know that it's not always going to happen that way, like if you know that you can affect the quarter, or if you know that you can effectively affect the quarterback, let's just say even 60% of the time, you still have 40% that you can say, well, we may not get there. Are we comfortable enough with the secondary that they'll be able to cover and do what they're supposed to do? And so it's just like, when it comes to certain guys, with Juju, I have some faith in him. With Jalen Jones, maybe have some faith in him. Yep. Kenny Moore, absolutely. He's a leader of that secondary. That's fine. Dallas Flowers. Can we talk about Juju Brents again? Like it's like that's pretty much like what we're dealing with right now.
And Daryl Baker.
And Daryl Baker. Yes, Austin. Daryl did. All right.
I think they're doing.
All right, enough's enough. We're muting you for 5 minutes, Austin.
I think they're trying to replicate what happened in the past when we had like Robert Mathis and Freedney, when we had guys in the back end like Jason David, who was small and trash. You had a guy like Greg Toller, who's ass. You had guys like that, but you had a good front seven that got to the quarterback, and Peyton Manning didn't have to worry about that.
But that was the problem, though, right? Because we had guys like Jonathan David and Greg Toller. Peyton Manning only had one Super Bowl in 15 years here because of stupidity like that. Look, I love Bill Polian, and he'll always be really, really high in the Colts organization because he's won one of two Super Bowls. That dude should have had like 5 Super Bowls, right? Let's just be honest. Yeah. But the team building just did not make any sense. Like he wasted Freeney, he wasted Mathis, he wasted Bob Sanders was legit probably one of the only guys that he ever got. I was like, damn, this guy's gonna help us make a difference, right? He wasted Peyton, he wasted Marvin. We can just go down the list, and we're doing the same thing again. We're just wasting talent. We're wasting Anthony Richardson. We're wasting Jonathan Taylor. You're wasting Michael Pittman. You're wasting these guys that are just balling out because you don't want to put together a complete team, and it's insane. I just put a GM that knows how to build a damn team. It's not that hard.
And we got some comments coming in, so we definitely want to address those. So Ron from Facebook, he says, it is a bad look to trade down and get extra picks late just to say those guys you wanted so bad at the bottom couldn't even make the roster, which it is, because, this is another year of that.
Yep.
And then they said, so Gerardo Martin on Facebook says, go Colts. Blue Nation on YouTube says Chris Ballard is the worst general manager in history. No. Listen.
I hope there was for Ryan Grigson.
Listen, Ryan Grigson. Let's talk Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien. Let's all
Josh
be.
McDaniels not a GM though; he's a head coach.
No, but he was a head coach that
Oh,
did
St.
have
Louis.
the ability. He did have the ability to make those things. Like in Denver, he was basically like and this was the weird stigma that came with people that came from the Bill Belichick tree. They basically trusted them to be able to not only coach but also to get rid of guys. Because remember, it happened everywhere. So what's the name? Josh McDaniels, he ran that Denver team into the ground and he got caught cheating. Bill O'Brien was awful. Matt Patricia traded away Darius Slay from the Lions and sent him over to Philadelphia. And literally, that was just a complete crapshoot. Like when we're talking about all these individual teams and what they've done, this has been an absolute crapshoot when it comes to that. So I can't say that Chris Ballard is the worst general manager in history. I just think that he's definitely fallen out of favor with this team, and I can see why, because he just there are easy fixes to a lot of the things that continue to be problems, and they'll continue to be problems. But the thing is, it's also our fault as a fan base, right? And the reason why I say it's our fault as a fan base is because we hear things like, "Oh, he's a good depth guy." And then we're just like, oh, yeah, he's a good depth guy. And then we're just like, oh, we can't wait for him to play. And then we're talking about, oh, Dallas Flowers was going to pop off. Yeah, and he was going to do this. And Dallas Flowers has so much potential. Dallas Flowers is 27 years old. So, I mean, I don't know what potential we're seeing. But the thing is, if he's just starting to hit this potential at 27, then did he have the potential to begin with? Or were we just waiting for him to just go ahead and go from CB6 to CB3? We've basically just been programmed to believe that anybody who's signing on as an undrafted free agent or as as somebody who was cut that we picked up is just automatically going to be a good guy. And that's because Chris Ballard amongst the fan base has a reputation for being this guy who's a good talent evaluator. But it
started with Jeff Saturday though.
What do you mean it started with Jeff Saturday?
He wasn't drafted. He was probably one of our undrafted free agents that done well in
NFL. No. Let's knock that shit out too, because we're not making excuses.
But but I'm just saying with the team used that basing it off of getting a Jeff Saturday, who's could be a Hall of Famer and won a Super Bowl. I think he won 2, but won a Super Bowl at least with us.
No, he won. He won 1 Super Bowl. He didn't win another one because he went to Green Bay, and then that's where he ended his career.
And then getting Kenny Moore, who wasn't drafted. Of course, he went to the Patriots, but he came to us, and he's working out for us. But they're using that, basing that off of those 2 guys from that's on our team or from in the past. That's what they're doing. That's why they keep saying, "Hey, consecutive years of having an undrafted free agent on the team." That's what they do that every single year to try to use that shit from the past.
Yeah, but you also to refute that, there's a lot of guys in history that were undrafted free agents who were able to just ball out and do those fantastic things. Now the thing is, you named 2 guys basically out of an almost 30-year span.
Yeah.
So the thing is, we have, and let's just say over that time, there's 53 people on the roster. There's 32 teams. That's 1,696 guys. And out of that 1,696 guys, I believe yes. That means that we're talking over, let's just say, a 30-year period. So out of 1,696 times 30, that comes out to about 50,000 and change, let's just say. So out of all these people, and mind you, let's just also talk about the Colts strictly. 30 years with a 53-man roster, and I know that it's going to be, and now you're talking about well over 1,000 guys, and we can only name 2 that were actually undrafted free agents that were 100% just absolute ballers. And I'm sure there were some other guys who absolutely were in there as well, but the problem is that we cannot keep on using history as the standard for what needs to be done. Teams are stacking based on free agency, based on signing their guys, based on making trades, based on doing all these things. And we're not.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. And then Blue Nation put in a comment about, when the RC sisters take over, Ballard will be gone. I actually wouldn't be surprised if that's sooner versus later. Because if you notice, we haven't seen anything from Jim Irsay in a very long time.
Well, he had one. He was out in I think Cardinals week. I think he was out in the golf cart for a second.
Okay,
but
yeah.
I think the only reason why he was out there was because that's when Marvin Harrison was there. That's when Edge was there. Like basically, it was like a
reunion.
Reunion of sorts.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that's coming sooner rather than later. And I don't think it's I think it's health related. It's literally dude, I don't think you can do this anymore. And what I don't, if that happens, regardless of the result of the season, it happens. I think Chris Ballard's gone because I don't know if they like him.
I think Carly is
culture is going to change.
If Carly takes over, that is going to be an absolute just to
reshuffle the entire thing, right?
Yeah.
Which I hope. It sounds terrible, and I don't want to put it this way. If that does happen, selfishly, I hope that happens before Anthony Richardson's contract comes up. I think that transition has to happen before that contract year, or it's going to be not very good for us.
Yeah.
So you essentially maybe tops you have 3 years.
Yeah, I think that's going to be tough because you're going to have to really just try and figure it out. And the problem is that if we're looking at it this way, that you're basically looking at it from the perspective that this time, this tenure right now, is pretty much just going to be, I'm going to say, maybe looking like a filler up until he gets to the point where it's just really competing. Because we went 9-8 last year, and going 9-8 was good, but the problem is that there was nothing to necessarily build on the momentum.
Yeah.
And we saw teams, we saw Houston load up. And we saw them load up in a way where it's just now their team is better in a bunch of spots where they knew that they had to get better. And as a whole, the division, the people in the division made a lot of moves. It's not to say that if people are necessarily going to be expensive. The Titans damn near turned over the whole entire defense. So there's no telling how that's going to look. But the thing is, you at least know that you're going to have this instead of things just not being addressed at all.
Yep.
And that's the toughest part about it, because now all right, this is going to be a little bit tough, and you're hoping to God that everybody stays healthy. And this is the NFL, and that doesn't happen all the time.
Just doesn't happen. Yeah, especially with the extra game now. It was already hard enough for 17 games to get, or 16 games to keep guys healthy. Now you're saying we got to do it for 17 plus, right? If you get our entire Super Bowl run, that's what, 20 games?
No, that's more than that, because the thing is, so you have 17, but it depends though, because if you have to play in the wild card, that's 21.
Yeah, that's why I said 21 max.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, you're going to play 21, and then
that's a lot of games.
And then on top of that, we have the bye late, the way we always do. So the thing is, you have a late bye, which means that at that point, you're going to have to go through the grueling 13 weeks that you're dealing with. You have 1 week off, and then let's just say, you end up making it to playoffs. That means that the next, you now will have the next 4, 5, 6 games. And then you're going to have to play in elements. You're going to have to play in all these different places. And that's going to make it that much tougher for you. And on top of that, we got to go to MetLife. And MetLife sucks.
They go there twice.
Yeah. Do we have to go there twice?
Yeah, play Giants and the Jets.
Yeah, but I thought we played one of them at home.
I got
at least. Well, I guess I was hoping that we played one of them at home, because Jesus Christ.
I think you might be right. I think one at home and one. I'll take a look at that to confirm it. But yeah, you're right. Let's see.
Yeah, but ultimately, I guess the thing that we're having, and then we can just move on. The issue that we're having is that we know what to expect, And the problem is that it just keeps on happening that way. So, I mean, the fact that we just know exactly what's going to happen and we're just like, damn it. It's speaking to the fact that we are going to have to really just kind of like buckle up. Oh yeah, and we're playing both games at MetLife Stadium. So, yeah,
gotta go to Denver too.
Yeah, and so I mean, this is what we're dealing with right now. So we have to be as vigilant as we can, but also it's just like it's tough because you're just like, damn it, like here we are again. But I don't know. Let's get to some comments and then we'll go from there. So then Gerardo tagged Alex AG. I don't know who that is, but what's up, Alex? And then they said when the Ursay sisters take over, Balor will be gone. I mean, honestly, I think Ursay trusts Ballard, and I think Ursay still very much has a voice in everything. So I think Ballard will be here as long as Ursay is still in power. So we'll see. But then Blue Nation says, sure, keep saying that Carly Ursay is going to terminate his behind when she takes over. Believe that. Okay. And then Leslie said, both in New York. He said, Chris isn't going anywhere. Stop it. And he said, the only primetime game is New York. So, okay. So here's the thing. Because we have had Bill Polian, Ryan Grigson, and Chris Ballard. And I think Chris Ballard has been here the longest out of Grigson and him. Out of him and Ballard. Yeah. And so, yes, you can use the quarterback thing, whatever. But ultimately, Chris Ballard's track record hasn't been the best when it comes down to just on-field product. And so, I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that Chris Ballard, if this season doesn't end up being something better than what it's been in the last few years, will end up being, one of his last or his last. Because I mean, it's a formula that's not working. It's not working. And I mean, yeah, it's just like you hit on, Michael Pittman, you hit on JT, and that's great. But the problem is that you keep on saying you love those draft picks. You love those draft picks. Well, what are they turning into besides cuts?
Our fan base has adapted to this man.
I was trying to say that he has taught our fan base to appreciate his methods because he's done it for so long. It's like it's like telling that girlfriend, or maybe like being in that relationship where like things aren't going well, but your significant other is like, oh yeah, things are awesome. Just give it some time. They're just going to continue to get better, but the same things keep happening over and over again. But you can't get out of it because you kind of believed it yourself. That's where some of us have been able to break out of the nonsense, right? We've been able to say, yeah, this isn't working, bro. But then there's people that are still stuck in that relationship, and they can't get out of it. And they're like legitimately I literally just found a tweet from an insider, like a person, right, that covers the team. That's like, oh no, roster waivers are happening tomorrow. They're still coming. The roster cuts are coming. This is when Chris Ballard really cooks, bro. Like, give it up, dude. This has been 9 years, and we just give it up. Like now I feel for calling Dan Dockich a moron because it actually turns out that he was right. Like the dude called it like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
It was the same thing. Remember, it was the same thing with Frank Wright before he got cut.
Yeah, it was. And now look, Dan Dockich looks like the smartest guy in the room. He's on like national TV now. We all look like a bunch of stupid heads. So
yes, that's my frustration, man. I mean, everybody have their own opinion of how they see things. That they see, some may see Ballard as, like you said, he's great at drafting, which he is. He's a
great scout. Yeah, he's awesome. You can't build a team.
But yeah, can't build a team. Yeah, we see it. I mean, and people still stuck on this DeForest Buckner from 5 years ago. That's his biggest trade he had. I mean, that's it.
Like, I laugh at people that tell me that, well, we lost our franchise quarterback. Dude, we lost our franchise quarterback 6 years ago. Like, what are we talking about? Like, what?
Yeah, and the thing is, even then, like talking about that, there's things that you can do to remedy any of these situations, but it's just the fact that you just choose not to. Like, there's no reason why secondary should continue to be an issue. And you know for a fact that there's guys out there. There was plenty of safeties in free agency where even if you weren't sure you were going to have them long term, you signed up for 1 year deals. You have a bunch of safeties who were signed for one year deals this year. Eddie Jackson was signed for a 1 year deal. Jeremy Chin was signed for a 1 year
They
deal.
all were.
Quandre Diggs 1 year deal. Justin Simmons 1 year
yeah.
deal. Like the majority of these guys are going for 1 year deals. So this way, if they outplay the 1 year deal, then you sign them long term. If they don't, then you only have to deal with them for 1 year. But the thing is, it's like to continuously go ahead and do this, and we can talk about going back to his time with the Chiefs. During his time with the Chiefs, even the Chiefs went into free agency and dipped into free agency to make sure that they were going and supplementing for places that they knew that they need to go and fix things. And it's
they had John Dorsey though, but I get what you're saying though.
But they did. But that's the thing. When we're talking, they had John Dorsey, but the thing is, Ballard was part of that as well. So for me, it's just like he's operating based on his own philosophy, based on his own understandings of what it is that he needs to do in regards to the GM and team building. And the team building aspect right now, it's shaky because if anybody in that tight end room gets hurt, 2 tight end sets are going out the window. If anybody in that secondary gets hurt, we're screwed.
No cover 3.
Like and so if we're looking at how this team is right now, yeah, I'm sure that a lot of these guys are going to make it to the practice squad. But I mean, Darius Rush was a guy that was drafted, waived, and then ended up on another team. And then we had struggles at cornerback. And then even the year before that, I think, what was it? We had both Seans. They were both Sean Davis. We had both Sean Davises. And they both were picked up and they both were cut. And one of them was drafted and he was cut. So, and the thing is, and once again, this is a defensive back. We keep on running into this issue where we keep on getting defensive backs and then we're cutting them before they even make it to the 53-man roster. But the thing is, we see a guy like Darrell Baker who's not really doing that well. He's 26.
I think he's confused because when he drafted Quincy Wilson from Florida, he stayed on too long at corner. And he was trash. But now you got guys that could make the team, could make an impact, and they don't make the roster. So I think
I don't even know. So I think that's like disingenuous as well because it's like I don't know if Micah Abraham's going to make an impact. But I do know he's 4 years younger than Darrell Baker and that I don't know what he can do yet, right? At least it's doing something different in your own philosophy, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, I know Darrell Baker cost me 3 games last year, but that's okay, including the last one. A lot of people love to blame Goodson for that drop catch on 4th down, and I think that's fair, right? He shouldn't have dropped the ball, whatever, right? Darrell Baker missed 8 on after we got the sack. On 2nd and long, Darrell Baker missed that tackle that allowed that receiver to get like an extra 20 yards to get a first down. Yeah. He's the one that got toasted against the Browns when we were up by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's when Juju was in the game. Amari Cooper had 0 receptions, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns. Yeah. And then Juju gets hurt. And then you bring Baker in full time, and then he's looking like the second coming of Jerry Rice, and then it's just like we get those 2 penalties. This is the stuff that we're talking about in terms of how there's such a massive drop off when it comes down to what it is, and this is the stuff once again that can be supplemented by going into free agency and getting guys, signing them on for 1-2 years, making sure that you go ahead and do this. There's still corners out there now, but I'm willing to bet money that at some point or another, Chris Ballard is going to go and he's going to sign an undrafted free agent or somebody that was just cut from another team at corner the same way that he did because he finally got rid of Lamons. And Lamons, I was told was going to be a special teams guy, and and somehow he ended up playing in actual cornerback rotation, and it was like, oh, so this is what we're doing.
Part of being able to strategically like work at that level is to be able to pivot. GMs have to be able to pivot and very quickly, right? If you look at like some of the best GMs in just across all the sports, right? The one thing they're very good at is pivoting. Oh, this did not work. I've got to pivot right now. I've got to go do this. There's always got to be a plan B, a plan C, even a plan D. And then that way, if you know plan A isn't going to work, you're not stuck on it for like 10 years, right? You quickly pivot. And he doesn't pivot. He can't build this team. You know, he insists on late round draft picks at the NFL level, that guys that are like maybe borderline NFL talent, right? Which is why they're going so late in the first place. You know, you hit, and then you're now at the midst of wasting your core's prime. Like Quentin Nelson, he already wasted Shaq, right? That kind of didn't work out. He wasted. He's on the midst of wasting Quentin. Jonathan Taylor's entering his prime, right? Because he's a running back. Shelf life isn't very high. Year two of Anthony Richardson, and so you only got a couple of years with his current contract to put something together. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I get it. Like I want to be patient, but I think being 10 years patient is patient enough. He's had all these years to build this team, and if you guys remember, the very first thing is this team is not focused around one guy.
Yeah,
I don't believe that anymore. Whenever he says that, because you know what? There's about 30 guys in the last 10 years you tried to build this team around that you haven't pivoted from in enough time. And to sit there and say that this division wasn't winnable over the last 8 years is asinine to me.
No, and the thing is, it was. And, I mean, it was for those same things that we knew it was. Now, was it all Ballard? I'm going to say no, because the thing is, it's, you know, Frank Reich still had some things to answer for when it came down to, you know, some of those decisions, like the decisions to make Carson Wentz pass way more when you had Jonathan Taylor there, where he ended up running for 1,800 that year.
Sure.
And then on top of that, it was the decision making to like bring in like Matt Ryan. Like, I mean, you really were talking about the fact there were no other quarterback options, but I mean, honestly, it's just like if you were going to be aggressive and do what you were going to do, you could have very easily done that and traded picks or done something to go ahead and remedy that. And so, and this is something that I'm going to say was, you know, still on my mind to this day. When he said that the clock doesn't start for him until he drafts a QB, that let me know that he's 100% fully aware of what he's doing. And he was willing to just go ahead and just stake his entire future on the fact that he could have just gone ahead and waited to draft a QB. Because if that was the case, this could have been done years ago. As much as I love Buckner, that pick could have been Justin Herbert.
Yeah. Yep.
Like that could have been something else. And the thing, and even beyond that, seeing how that next draft class with Trevor Lawrence shaped up after the Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow draft class, seeing how that draft class went, I would have loved to go ahead and traded a first round pick for that draft class, because God forbid, let somebody else get one of those busts.
No, literally. But again, it's like, I think I'm with you. I think that's when I kind of like started to step back, when he's like those words are like very like to a fan base that's actually, that should be concerning. That basically means like he basically told the fan base, yeah, I don't have to do my job until I draft the quarterback because the owner said I don't have to. Yeah. So and the owner is okay with that. So you guys are stuck with me. If he would have kept going with it, if he like waited to draft Arch, like he would have been like, well, you know, I'm now in year 13. Now my time starts. I've stolen 13 years worth of money from this franchise. Arch Manning is now the quarterback. Now I get 3 years to build this team. And you know, next thing you know, thank God it didn't take that long. We would have been like 16 years.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that if this happens,
the mindset he has.
If that happens, I won't be alive.
bro.
I'm gonna have a heart
I
attack or something like that.
But Jesus Christ, yeah. You put this comment. Listen, Leslie, I like you, man. I think you say a lot of really cool things, but I 1000% disagree with you on this one. It's the one where he says, where you can't draft corners.
You say you can or can't?
Can't. He can't draft a lot of positions. Yeah, Chris can't draft corners. Chris's problem is he can't get a break on the QB. Dude, I'm sorry, man. The Titans have won this division with worse. The freaking Texans have won this division with freaking Davis Mills. Like, we've got to stop with the QB excuses. That is so nuts to me. Like, I think I'm finally off of this. They can go if they go 8-9 this year. Chris Ballard needs to be fired. Like, I'm sorry, it's just that simple to me. And I don't think they go 8-9 because I believe that much in Shane Steichen. But this is just this is what I was talking about, where it's like Chris has made it okay with some members of the fan base that mediocrity is okay because you know what? I've got time to fix this because the GM's going to give me time. There's no sense of urgency in that man's face to pivot and fix this team. He could have fixed. He's had 3 years to fix the secondary, and he hasn't done it.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why it's all these little minute fixes. Like, it's knowing that you need to cover, and then this was even something that was mentioned before, and then Milton said, "I'd never been a Ballard supporter, and no, it's not all his fault, but he's still our GM, and it falls all on him." And so the thing, like, and that's correct, because if we're looking at how it is with corner, right? Because he said cornerback is a tough position to play. So yes, so you don't like what you got when it comes to let's just say drafting. That's all the more reason why you go out and you get a proven commodity. And so that's the reason why, it's so beyond irritating when guys become available and you don't grab them. You don't go after certain guys. And so now, and I mean, maybe it's also Gus Bradley, because Gus Bradley, defensively, I'm not a big fan of his system. He did show some things in the preseason that I was like, oh, okay, he might be switching it up. But at the end of the day, it still boils down to the fact that you're putting all your hopes on guys staying healthy and not having depth behind them. And that's where
he doesn't pivot.
Yeah,
Chris does not pivot. He's not a pivoter.
But you know what? We can go on all night, but you know what? We need to get out of here because we're well over time. I thought this was going to be a short one, and we've been on here for an hour and 10 minutes. So yeah. So what we're going to do is we will see you all next week. Next week is the draft special. So we will be on here drafting live.
I'm picking first.
Yes, Josue is picking first. So we actually, yes. So we have the draft. I think I have the draft order here in my notes, I believe. Bear with me one moment. Un momento, por favor. Okay, I don't, but no, you'll see them later. So yes, don't even worry about it. All right.
I feel like I'm like somewhere in the middle. I don't even remember, honestly.
Yeah, I thought I had it on here, but either way,
like
I said,
7 was where I was at. I was just like, oh, great.
Yeah. So I think you were like, wait, I think Josh had first, and then Austin, you had what? You were,
I think I was third.
Oh yeah, I was fifth and you were seventh. So you're like,
yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, you're seven. But the thing is,
the worst spot.
It's only an 8. No, it's not. No, it's not.
But hey, you know what? It doesn't matter until I draft my quarterback. What I do with that pick.
This is true. This is true, I guess.
Wow.
But yeah, so we will be back here next week. Might actually be just a tad bit earlier, depending, but we'll see. And then they said, "Oh, okay, we can be the Jets or Panthers or Washington."
I mean, we basically are. We just sit here like, what are we talking about? We basically are mediocrity. We are we go 8-9 every year. We lose like the last game of the season. We don't win the division. We don't make the playoffs. We made the playoffs once in the last 10 years. Like, how are we different than the Jets, the Redskins, or the Panthers? Like we're not that much different than those franchises right now.
Well, twice in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, twice.
Who's counting? Who's counting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
I don't count Andrew Luck. It's the year Andrew Luck made Frank Reich look like a
Okay,
genius.
yeah, then once. Okay, once. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So then with that being said, like I said, we'll be back next week where we will be drafting live. And then in the meantime, fellas, tell the people where they can find you, starting with you, Austin.
You can find me on Twitter at CookieAustin2.
Exactly.
Oh, Twitter. You used Twitter
Josh?
this time. Very impressive.
You can
Yeah, because
find me
he's
on-
not trolling. He's had enough trolling for one night.
Yeah.
And
you guys
Daryl
can find-
Baker's the GOAT.
Oh,
All right, you're being muted now. I'm muting you. Sorry, guys. You won't hear from Austin for the rest of this evening. All right, Josh, what about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter at Who Is Josh Senior, and yeah, I'm with Harish. 8-9 is not a good record to be happy about. But go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we got one comment. It's just like, what's up, guys? We're back square one with the Colts secondary. I get that Ballard trusting his players, but to count solely on their development without a backup plan is not responsible at all.
Agreed.
Thank you, August.
And it's not being there is nothing being developed back there. I'm just letting you know. There's nothing being developed back there.
Yeah. Gotcha.
It literally is. It's Blackman. It's Kenny Moore, and that's it. And it's just like a hope and pray from there, right? I think Juju can be good, but he can't. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, right? We'll see if he stays healthy. And beyond that, I like Jalen Jones personally. I think if there's a guy that you could develop, I think that would be the guy.
Yeah.
Right? I think he's shown some promise. But beyond that, you got a bunch of guys who can't tackle or can't cover, and they play the position of tackling and covering, which is very terrifying. So
Yes.
that's what we got.
And tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at Gandhi. You can also find me on if you type in hashtag you can't build a team, you can find me there as well.
Gotcha. Okay. And you can find me at CJ Colts fan. Yes, make sure that you are tuning in next week. Like I said, we're having the live draft special. And yeah, so other than that, people have a great rest of your evening. We will see you next week. Leslie Turner says go Colts. And most importantly, always remember that Sam loves Jalen Ramsey, and she forever will.